What we've seen is that various measures of inequality have increased over the past 3 decades. And of course, there is a big question why inequality has gone up between skilled and unskilled, but also the top share, the top 1% share of income. What I'm particularly interested in is to argue that part of this increase is due to innovation. You have various measures of inequality. You have income inequality between those who are educated, those who are less educated, between those who go to university, those who didn't go to university. And so to explain why it increased over the past decades is because you had an acceleration in the rate of innovation. And it's very important to understand the innovation part of it. Whenever there is innovation, that gives rents to innovators. And particularly with globalization, you sell your innovations to more countries. And so you get bigger rents from innovating. So you have to distinguish in the top 1% what's associated with innovation and what's not associated with innovation. Less developed countries grow because they imitate us or they accumulate capital. But we grow mainly because we innovate. So innovation is the engine of growth. So you don't want to kill the engine of growth. But it has also, innovation has a nice aspect to it. It's a source of social mobility. Why? Because new innovations replace old technologies. The richest man in Sweden today is Mr. Skype. He didn't exist 15 years ago. And it's because he innovated that he became the richest person. So innovation is a big source, of course, of top income, but also of turnover in the top income. Though the innovators of today are not the same as the innovators of yesterday. Consequences, both on productivity growth. We have data on income and income inequality across US states and over a 25-year period from 1975 to 2010. We also have data on patenting and the quality of patents, whether they are cited or not cited. And we see that states that innovate more and have more cited patents are those states where top inequality has gone up most. You need taxation policy, but you need also competition policy and housing policy to make sure that you reconcile growth, innovation-driven growth, with social mobility. And that's why you need a combination of taxation, competition policy, and housing policy. The situation in France is that you overtax. Capital is overtaxed, for example. The entrepreneurs go elsewhere or they stop becoming entrepreneurs. So you discourage innovation. And you have low social mobility in France, both because of the tax system and also because you have very rigid labor markets. I like very much Scandinavia, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Netherlands. I think those countries, have found a good balance between public goods and innovation. On the model, and now the key message is that when you decide how to tax, if you want to use taxation to correct for excessive inequality, which is a legitimate thing to do, you should make sure you don't discourage innovation. Because if you discourage innovation, you also reduce social mobility. And that's a kind of perverse effect you want to avoid.